Now this is more like it. This is what I was looking for when I decided to pick up Beastars. Creative fantasy settings featuring animals. That's really all I wanted from this. This is all I really wanted from like the series to start with. I think the first two volumes were a little bit too focused on the school setting and established the core cast of characters, but let it be known that Volume 3 feels like the one where it really starts to take a life of its own. You start seeing some payoffs to this. You start seeing some like character drama. You start seeing some interesting moments between like Louis and Legoshi. You start seeing like the outside world, which I think is the big thing that I brought up in like the past two volumes. Because when it came to the past two volumes, like I got through them really quickly, but I was just like, okay. But what is the core conflict going to be about, really? Is this really all going to be about Legoshi struggling with his desire to fucking eat Haru? Is that really all it is? Is that really all this is going to be about? I'm not really sure if like that's really going to be enough drama for me. I'm not sure whether or not that's really going to work. Like, because I was making fun of Haru, right? I was making fun of the character for being a gigantic thought and things like that. A feeling that I still kind of stand by, honestly, but seeing the developments in this volume, seeing Legoshi, seeing the outside world, seeing the city, seeing the black market, seeing how Legoshi reacts to that, seeing the aftermath to that, this is really compelling original material. I am just taken aback by how well they've executed this. You know, it's made me do a complete 180 on how I feel about this, because when Legoshi was first struggling with his desire to like eat herbivores, it was presented as this thing that like the impression I got was that like, oh yeah, it's just kind of Legoshi. It's just like a kid thing. It's a part of like growing up in this universe. No, at all. No, at all to this. No, at all. No to that. It is something that carnivores in Beastars have to struggle with their entire lives, and a lot of them really can't handle it. As we've seen it with like the black market and like the whole panda hospital thing. Like you see how this situation that Legoshi is in right now can completely like destroy him, right? Because we have the civilization, right, made up of like carnivores and herbivores, and the carnivores are just kind of expected to like, you know, go against their nature and not eat the herbivores, right? That's just the expectation. Like, you kind of have this feeling that, like, you know, maybe the government is like enforcing some kind of like, is enforcing them like in some way. I'm kind of curious how this system came about, because like the civilization seems to be set up so like the herbivores and carnivores are set up as equals, even though like carnivores are like so much bigger, apparently way stronger, and like, you know, fucking eat herbivores. That's what they do. But apparently like in the society itself, they're equals, even though like we don't really have an idea of like how that system came about yet. That's how it's set up. But like carnivores are still very much carnivores in the sense that like they do want to eat herbivores. And you know, a lot of them, you know, so we're seeing kind of a divide right now between like, you know, two major we're essentially seeing like two major kind of carnivores at this point. Like you have the individuals who are like unable to like control their feelings, to control their like desire to like eat to eat other people, basically. And then you have those who like embrace it, who really truly do want to eat those around them and don't fucking give a shit. It has this weird sexual angle to it. This is probably something that like, this seems to be a reoccurring thing, but I really want to talk about this like at some point in the future. Probably not in this video, but it's kind of a bizarre thing where Legoshi seems to want okay, so essentially what happens in this volume is that like Legoshi and the crew are trying to set up for a event in the town square. So they have to like go out and like, set up decorations for this like festival celebrating like dinosaurs. Like, yeah, the Beastars are descended in the world of Beastars. Like, all animals are descended from dinosaurs, apparently. So they went extinct like probably 65 million years ago, and they have festivals like honoring them. Cool shit, really awesome shit. Like, really cool world building. I love that. So Legoshi and like the rest of the carnivores go to town and just sort of chill and just sort of hang out, and they sort of like just navigate through town. Like, they do some light world building, talking about like how birds need to have flying license. Oh, that reminds me of another really interesting aspect of this. Yeah, this isn't the only thing that. Let's be clear here. Like, the black market is the reason that like I really thought this volume was great, but there were also like really cool little bits through the rest of it, like how like birds in order to like prevent carnivores from like in order to like give carnivores like the protein they need to survive, like birds will actually like sell their own eggs to like markets and stuff like that. Something that I thought was like really dark, but apparently in Beastars is perfectly normal and socially acceptable. Again, like this is a really interesting thing about Beastars. It doesn't just feel like a human society with animals. It feels like its own fantasy setting with its own rules that's similar to our own. Like, you don't. It has a different context when you see things like this. Like in Beastars, like apparently just laying eggs is a reasonable way to make your living if you're a female bird. So that's an interesting little tidbit there that I enjoyed. That was like it was kind of like working its way into like the story. Okay, so the market. So basically, like Legoshi and his like carnivore buddies are just wandering around town, like having a good time, just interacting, like enjoying themselves, and they get lost and they find themselves in the black market, something that like Lewis specifically told them not to go to. They don't really go into like why Lewis specifically said that, but like it's established what the black market is. Like, it's a place where animals or carnivores can get the meat that they crave. Like, it's illegal shit that sketchy shit, I should say. I mean, it's out in the open. I'm kind of confused about like how the black market works, because like surely this has to be illegal. But like they don't kill the herbivores themselves. They just like they get them from morgues and like hospitals and stuff like that somehow, which is like crazy stuff if you think about it. But again, like really good world building and things like that. I keep getting sidetracked with describing how much I love the setting here, what they've done with this place. So they end up in the black market, end up meeting like a herbivore, some kind of like goat thing, as I recall, like this creepy looking motherfucker who's like offering to sell them his fingers for like $700, and like Legoshi himself is like extremely creeped out by this, even though like he secretly craves to eat flesh. And but his buddy Bill, well, frenemy, I suppose could be said at this time, who has been established as a carnivore that does indulge in eating meat, freaks out and is just like, yeah, guys, we need to do this. We need to eat this guy's fingers because I fucking want them. So yeah, Bill the Tiger is kind of established as being kind of an asshole. And a rapist, I think, too, if the dialogue is any indication. So yeah, they have another fight, following up the one in Volume 2, because like Legoshi doesn't like the fact that Bill is a fucking carnivorous fuck, and like Legoshi leaves, and he encounters he gets attacked by like this giant panda, this doctor who really does, I think, do a beautiful job setting up the whole struggle of carnivores, because we get like an idea of like how common of an idea this actually is. Now, up to this point, I thought it was something that, like, adolescents maybe struggled with before, like, calming down into adulthood and, like, getting into the groove. No. What happens in Beastars is that, like, the drive to devour other creatures, herbivores, is so prevalent and so strong that it's something you struggle with your entire life. And as a result of that, the panda doctor explains that, like, how often, his patients suffer from, like, their self-loathing, their guilt, their inability to, like, control themselves, ripping off their own arms, like, gnawing off their own arms because they couldn't handle, like, not having flesh. Like, great stuff. It sets up, like, an incredible dynamic between, like, the whole, like, Haru and, like, Legoshi thing. I'm not a fan of Haru as a character. I think she fucking sucks. I don't feel sorry for her at all. She is a thought. Like, she deserves everything that's coming to her. But, like, from a Legoshi standpoint, like, it really completely recontextualizes his interactions with her, right? Because we learn now that, like, it's kind of a common thing for carnivores to have, like, to like, feel that their desire to consume other beings is like a form of love, which I think is, like, actually pretty prevalent in real life. Because of course you have, like, pets who do love you and care about you in their own way, like, who will, like, devour you if you, like, die, right? Like, that's an observed thing, right? Dogs and cats will both do it. So it really feels like they're setting up, like, something really dark. Well, the entire thing was pretty dark in general, but, like, this is dark from, like, a character standpoint. Like, Legoshi doesn't really seem all that different from an ordinary, like, teenage boy, but, like, you have to understand, this is Beastars. This isn't human stars. This isn't like fucking Heathers, okay? It's dark in its own distinct, unique way. And that I think is what makes it great, because it's a story that couldn't have been told with human characters, right? Obviously, like, I grew up as a big fan of Redwall, right? I'm used to, like, these character, like, animal stereotypes and stuff like that. They kind of delved into this kind of, well, they didn't really delve into this kind of thing. They were more about, like, using animal stereotypes in, like, a medieval, like, fantasy setting where, like, they go to war with each other and they have conflicts. They don't really there are some animals that eat each other, right? Occasionally, like, you have snakes and stuff like that, like, who are, like, the demons of the fucking forest. Like, they're just like going around, like, attacking motherfuckers all the time. The animals just have to deal with the fact that, like, snakes exist. But yeah, this is something entirely different, right? Like, this is a civilization that's, like, seemingly, like, more developed and advanced in Redwall, but, like, sick and twisted in its own unique way. Like, I don't see, like, Redwall ever developing into a society where, like, they offer up herbivores, like, on a silver, like, on a silver platter, like, despite the fact that, like, killing one is, like, illegal. Like, I can't imagine Redwall having this system where, like, you're allowed to eat herbivores, right? Even if, like, you don't actually kill them. Yeah, that is an interesting thing about this setup here, that, like, you can kill like, you're not allowed to actually kill herbivores, but, like, it's legally justifiable to, like, get the meat, like, in alternative ways, like having people, like, sell their body parts to you, getting them from, like, morgues and hospitals. Like, that's something a little bit different, something that, like, I honestly was not expecting. Like, the civilization, like, I really want to learn more about the world now, because it feels like it's something a little bit different than anything else I've ever seen. I kept hearing, like, the Zootopia comparisons when I first, like, heard about this. That's the comparison a lot of people make because of, like, the carnivore versus herbivore thing. This does not feel like it's going for, like, the same thing at all. Like, it feels a lot darker, a lot more, like, well, I haven't seen Zootopia, but, like, it feels like it's going in, like, a very different direction than what Disney would do with, like, the same concept. And, like, initially, like, I would have said that this was, like, a very simple story, like, done exceedingly well. I think it's a lot more complex than that now. I think this has the potential to be an extremely nuanced, like emotionally complex manga, and I'm wondering if it's going to go down as one of my favorites, because I'm just like tearing through this thing right now. I already bought volume 4. I'm probably like at the rate I'm going, I'm probably going to have the entire thing read through in like about a week. Again, like there are only 12 volumes of this. I'm not sure if it's still being updated, but it's a lot of fun. It's I really enjoy this one. Favorite volume so far by a lot, like by a long shot. Like 1 and 2 kind of dragged, I think, but now that like we got into the swing of things, I'm hoping we can get like some really good stuff from like Lewis. I didn't even talk about like Lewis in this volume. Still my favorite character, obviously. Like if I have like any criticism of the manga at all, is that like I kind of feel like some of the side characters, like Legoshi's best friend Jack, like the Labrador Retriever, like some of his roommates, like some of these side characters, like they don't get a whole lot of focus. Haru is supposedly like one of the protagonists, right? And she hasn't gotten like all that much development at all, aside from like being a massive thought. Like she mostly just she's mostly relevant because of like Legoshi and his relationship with her. Like we don't really get like her perspective in a lot of times, and I get the feeling this volume she's a bit more complex than we've seen previously. So after this volume, I'm like almost certain like there's more to this chick than like we know, but we don't know what that is yet. But the thing about this volume, and about like my boy Lewis in general, is that like it has confirmed that this volume does confirm that Lewis does fuck her, which is kind of like okay, like I didn't hate that as much as I thought I might. It never even crossed my mind actually, because I never thought like Lewis kind of like comes off like he's gay to me because of like his his drama school like background and like his personality and stuff like that. But like no, he's fucking Lewis like an absolute Chad, and I was kind of worried when that happened. When like I was just like, is this gonna be a Chad versus Virgin story? Because I would kind of hate that, the Chad Lewis versus the Virgin Legoshi. Just like, but no, it's kind of like it's kind of revealed that like they are fucking, like Lewis is kind of an asshole. Even when he's like fucking this chick, this thought. Legoshi is probably a better fit for her because like he actually respects her and shit like that. I was gonna make another video, but I was gonna like talk about this a lot more if it wasn't for like the black market. There's a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to Beastars. Actually, I think that's one of the reasons it's such a good manga is that there's like already like so many like little character threads that I want to follow up on. Like I didn't even talk about Tim. Like, I almost felt like this volume that, like, okay, if nothing happens with the Tem thing, I might as well drop it. But, no, I think we're almost, I think they're doing a lot of character building, like, introducing, like, these characters and, like, doing more things with them. And, like, having them more, having them interact more, like, the Tem thing, I think, is going to be concluded, and I think like the actual answer to the question of like who killed Tim is going to be surprising. We know it's someone from the drama club because like Tim specifically states like they were in there together. So like I don't know who it is. Like people were like speculating that like maybe it's I don't know, like it seems like the scene seems to set up that it was Legoshi, but like I don't know, like was it Lewis? Like was it straight up Zootopia like a Herbivore fucking did it? Was it Bill? Like somehow I like really doubt it because I feel like either of those two answers are a little bit too obvious. But that's a plot line that I am interested in seeing like the conclusion to, like the whole Haru and Lewis relationship. I want to see how that develops. Like Legoshi, like that seems to have been the focus of like the end of this volume was like building up the whole like Legoshi's struggle dealing with his relationship with Haru, because like apparently that's his thing. Oh, and there's like a new wolf named like Juno in this volume, like a girl who develops a crush on Legoshi. So this girl is gonna get cucked by a fucking rabbit. Like, it's just, damn. That is just, lots of potential here, I think, from a lot of different characters. And obviously, like, there are things that, like, I would like to see expanded on, but, like, the fact that there's so much stuff here, like, so much, like, multi-layered stuff going on here, like, it's exciting. Like, it legit is exciting to see, like, delve into this world and, like, see these characters develop and see them interact with each other and, like, see the directions, think about where the story could go. Like, I have no idea where it's going to go. Like, I have an idea. I have, like, an appreciation for what they're setting up. But, like, honestly, this is one of those situations where, like, I really have no idea what's going to happen next. And as a result of that, I cannot wait to get into reading Beastars Volume 4. Until next time.